Alright boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be customizing the Ubermacht Rebla GTS in Grand Theft Auto Online. This vehicle is the podium vehicle this week when it is coming out, but obviously if you guys are watching this in the future, it's not going to be the podium vehicle. Maybe it's on sale when you guys are watching this. Definitely a really cool car. We're going to get into it right now, starting off with the armor. We're going to go all the way up on that. The brakes, got to go all the way up on those as well, naturally. For the front bumper, we do have a lot of different options. Now, we have some really cool ones. The Ubermacht Rebla GTS is it's definitely based off of a BMW X5, I would say. I'd say that's pretty obvious. We're gonna go for the carbon twin edges on this customization. We're gonna go for a BMW X5M type of build. Because that's, you know, the preferred build that I go for with the Rebla GTS. This thing looks absolutely awesome. When it's fully customized, you guys are gonna love it. For the engine, we got to go all the way up on that. We got to go for the rear carbon bumper as well. I forgot to mention there. For the exhaust, we do have a few different options here. I do like the infinity exhaust on this thing. The carbon exhausts are pretty cool. I have an idea for a build. We're going to go for the carbon infinity exhaust, so we'll do that. For the fenders, we have the stock fenders, the plastic fenders, or of course the carbon fenders as well. We also have the primary wide fenders as well as the secondary and the carbon as well. You know what, I typically don't go for an option like this, but I think we are actually going to go for the regular carbon fenders. I don't really like going wide with this thing because it's going to look a little ridiculous later, so we'll talk about that when the time comes. For the grille, we have the carbon stock grille, which does look really good. We have the carbon exposed grille, the carbon street grille, the carbon roadster grille, and of course the carbon Ubermacht grill. I think that the carbon stock grille looks the best, so we're going to go for that one. For the hood, we do have a lot of different options here. First of all, we have the inset hood, of course, the carbon inset hood, as well as the regular twin inset without the carbon on it. We have the ridgeline hood too. We have the scooped hood as well. We have the vanity hood, pretty cool. We have the aftermarket hood, and back to stock. Now, the aftermarket hood looks really good. It's a little too aggressive for what I want to go for. For this build, we're going to go for the ridgeline hood because I think that's pretty realistic looking when it comes to BMWs and especially M variants of cars. So we'll do that. Xenon for the headlights, of course, we got to do that on this car. For the livery, we do have a few different options here. I will just quickly scroll through them so you guys can see all of the options. They all look really good. They're all very detailed, but on this build in particular, we're not going to be going for any of them. So we're just going to leave that off. For the mirrors, we are going to go carbon on those, of course. For the plate, yellow on black. For the respray of the vehicle, now this is something I typically don't do with my builds. We are going to go for a fully murdered out build. We're going to go black on everything. So for the secondary color, we got to go black on that. For the primary color, we got to go black on that. For the interior trim color, I am actually going to do a splash of color in here. We're going to go for a Torino red just to sort of break things up a tiny bit. So we'll do that. However, for the primary color on this thing, we actually have to remove the pearlescent. We're going to go full black on this thing. It's just full black, so we'll do that. For the roof, we are going to go carbon, so I think that's going to look really good, especially with the black. I mean, obviously carbon fiber is mostly black, and then with the paint being black, I think it's going to look really cool. I've never really gone for this build before. For the skirts, we can go for something carbon. That's what we're going to do. Got the carbon aftermarket skirts. I do kind of think that I like the carbon ridgeline skirts. They kind of have a little bit of a different angle there, so we're going to go for that. Those look really good. For the spoiler, we do have to change this into a carbon fiber spoiler just to match up with the rest of the back of the car there, and the rest of the roof, I should say. So we'll do that. For the suspension, now we can fully slam this thing all the way down, and it's a little too crazy for my liking, so what we're actually going to do is just go for the street suspension. It's low enough to the point where, you know what, actually? I'm thinking about going for the lowered suspension. I think the street is a little too low. Lowered is going to be where we're going to sit at with this thing. I think it looks pretty good. It kind of cambers the wheels out a bit, so that's pretty good, like that. For the vortex generator, we are going to go for the twin carbon vortex generators. I do like the look of that, so we'll do that. Race transmission, got to do that on this car. For the turbo, got to go all the way up on that as well. For the wheels, we're going to go for the carbon cheetah, the cheetah carbon R's. They're gonna match up pretty well with this build, so we'll do that. For the color of these, we are gonna go black, and for the tires, we are gonna go bulletproof, of course. Now for the windows, obviously with a fully murdered out build, we gotta go black. for the limo tint. So this thing is looking really, really mean. I don't go for builds like this very often. So I think this is going to be something a little bit new and a little bit different for you guys to see, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks so far. It's time to take it outside and just see how it looks. All right, so here we are outside, and I think in the sunlight, this thing is looking really, really mean. We got to do a sound test, of course, so let's get into that right now. Now for an SUV, I think that the Rebla sounds insanely good. I don't think that there's anything wrong with how this thing sounds. It might be one of the better sounding SUVs in the game. It's definitely one of the better sounding SUVs in the game. I'd probably put it in my top 5 best sounding SUVs. I think it's, you know, it's not the best sound ever, but it's kind of unique, so I think that that gets it some points for sure. Now the Rebla GTS, this car has a lot of achievements under its belt. It is a top 5 fastest SUV in Grand Theft Auto Online, with the exclusion of HSW vehicles. It is pretty up there. This thing is very, very quick. In a straight line, the acceleration is absolutely fantastic. And for an SUV, this thing I would say handles a little more like a sports car, especially when you lower the suspension all the way. Obviously, we've only gone for the slightly lowered build on this thing, but if you lower it down all the way, this thing handles absolutely phenomenally. And even with the suspension raised up a little bit, it still feels absolutely fantastic. It's an awesome car. Obviously, you guys saw all the customization options there as well. There's a lot that you can do to this thing. And I think that no matter what you do, you can make your Rebla GTS look pretty damn good. I think that this is a fantastic car. It's all-wheel drive as well, in case you guys were wondering. It is an SUV, so that's probably pretty typical. You probably expected it to be all-wheel drive, but just in case you didn't know, it is in fact all-wheel drive. So that is nice. Now the handling of this vehicle, to get a little deeper into it, it definitely has a bit of an oversteer bias, which we like. I like that personally. I'd rather have oversteer any day of the week than understeer. I think that it is much more manageable, because you can actually manage it. Understeer is pretty hard to manage. So, you know, an oversteer bias on this thing is a great thing for it, for sure. Like I mentioned briefly before, the acceleration is absolutely awesome. For an SUV, this thing, it moves like a sports car for sure. It's probably faster than a lot of supercars around circuits in GTA, honestly. It's very quick. It is a very, very good SUV. It also feels a little bit heavy, which you do kind of want with an SUV, I find, at least personally. It definitely could be lighter, but I do think that it is good that it feels as weighted as it does. I do think that is a good thing for this vehicle for sure. Now top speed wise, obviously it's an SUV, so it's going to be a little bit lower than you would, you know, expect from a supercar or a sports car, but it is still relatively high. It's definitely at the higher end of the SUV category, that's for sure. You know, this car is absolutely awesome. If you guys get the opportunity to win this thing on the podium, you absolutely should. It is a fantastic car to have, no doubt about it. The Rebla GTS, it's got to be one of my favorite SUVs in the entire game. I absolutely love the Tauros. I love the Pfister Astron, and the Pfister Astron Custom, but the Rebla GTS, there's just something about it. I don't know if it's because it looks so realistic. I don't know if it's because of the customization. I couldn't honestly pinpoint it for you, but I absolutely love this vehicle, and rest in peace to that can of Seminole. I'm really sorry to damage your car. But yeah, guys, the Rebla GTS, it's a fantastic vehicle. You guys have got to pick this thing up. If you can win it from the podium in the casino, you only got one day left to do it, so if you know any sort of glitches in order to get it, you should absolutely try to do that. The Rebla GTS, absolutely fantastic car. That's pretty much all I have to say about this thing. It's fantastic in every single way. Anyway, guys, that is it for the Rebla GTS customization and review in Grand Theft Auto Online. If you guys enjoyed this video, a like is of course appreciated, if not dislike. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.